and welcome back. Today I am very excited because this is the beginning of a new reading vlog, which I haven't done in a million years. I usually just come and talk about the books I've read already, but very rarely I actually kind of record the process of me starting a book and reading it and then the conclusion at the end. So that's what I'm gonna try to do this time, because I think that will also motivate me to keep reading constantly. I tend to just forget that I'm reading a book, even though I am loving it. It has nothing to do with my interest in the book. I am just so all over the place all the time. So I will consistently read a book for like a week, and then for the next week just completely forget. And I don't read that fast. Like, you would think, oh, in a week you can finish a book. I could, but the way I'm reading is just maybe a couple pages a day, which is fine because everybody goes at their own pace. But because of that reason, if I don't keep at it consistently, I'll just forget. So yeah, I'm hoping that also, because I am here making the video, that will help me to remind myself like, oh, you gotta keep reading, we gotta complete it. So yeah. Also, something that I've noticed, and I don't know if it's relatable or if it's just me, but I find it so much more easier to read if I'm outside of the house. Like, I love going to a coffee shop and read, and I can stay there for hours. Last time I went to read, I think, pretty sure, I was there for 4 hours straight just reading, and I didn't even feel the time go by. I mean, it was just so fun, and I love being outside. I love being surrounded by people, even though I'm not necessarily interacting. So it's like that nice in between of I am in my little socially anxious bubble, but I am still surrounded by people and I don't feel alone. So yeah. And the book that I'm gonna be reading is this one. It is The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. I am very excited to read this one because I haven't read a fantasy in a while now. Well, actually, backtrack. I have read fantasy books because I read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, and that obviously is a fairy tale. But it is a little bit different because it's focusing on her as a student, as a scholar, going to a different land to study fairies. But it's more of a modern, well, it's not modern time, but you know, it's not these fantasy royalty stories that I usually read. And I did love it a lot, but I am so excited to go back and read one of these because they're my favorite. I can't deny it. Yeah, I'm also reading, I think I mentioned in the last video, I'm reading a nonfic. It's a book, I forget the name right now, but I will put it right here. But it is a book about a anthropologist, they study bones. Can you tell I just started? I just literally started like the first 25 pages because I wanted to know if I would like it. So I wanted to see what it was all about before committing, and I am committing. But it's really interesting. It's about the process of what they can find on the skeletons, on bones, on a forensic aspect. So it's been really fun, and I did love it. I want to read it so bad. I am reading it, but I just feel like I needed to read also a fantasy because I wanted to start both so badly. And this is another reason why I thought this needs to be recorded and this needs to be a way for me to actually stay consistent, because I struggle with one book. I'm gonna be reading two, okay? Send help. I'm gonna try my best to actually finish both in a reasonable amount of time, but yeah, I am very excited for this one specifically because the book is so beautiful and it has a map. This one's in color and it's on the actual cover of the book, which I haven't seen a lot. And this is from the synopsis on the back. It says, a warrior princess trained in isolation, Lara is driven by two certainties. The first is that King Aaron of the Bridge Kingdom is her enemy, and the second is that she'll be the one to bring him to his knees. So yeah, there's a lot of rivalry, a lot of fantasy, and I am so excited for the drama. So yeah, I am gonna start reading. I don't know how much I'm gonna read because I am a little bit sleepy. It's my nap time. It's the afternoon. It's my nap time. But I'm gonna try to read first, and hopefully I don't fall asleep while reading.
A few moments later.
I am now chilling over here with Vander. you know, he's always gonna make an appearance in the video and be the main character. So I guess this is the time. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the painting that I'm working on, because since I mentioned before, this is part of a series or a collection that I'm working on. I do like to make my paintings into story, and this is no exception to that. I have been working on this collection of paintings since 2021. Pretty sure 21, maybe 22. I gotta look back into it, but it's been years. And it was basically a way of me to tell the story that I made up about my mental health. And it started because I wanted to understand myself a little bit more, and the best way that I thought of doing this was to make a story where I put myself from an outsider perspective, and instead of thinking about myself and my own situation and what I'm going through, I made a character or multiple characters that I could watch from outside and kind of understand them, because it is a thing that it is always a little harder to kind of judge ourselves, because we're always way harsher. We're always making excuses on why maybe another person would feel this way or act this way, but when it's us, then it's such a different story. So that has helped me so much, because instead of just thinking about myself and judging my past actions or thoughts, I think about them as a different person, and I try to be even more understanding. I'm like, well, she made this mistake, but why? And then after I've done all of these inner monologue and thinking, I go back and be like, well, that was me. So that allows me to forgive myself a little more. And this has been really good, because I actually started doing this after I started therapy as well. So it's kind of what inspired all of this. And of course, I thought I had to make them into paintings. I did start it just as writing, because it went from basically me just writing in my journal to me writing stories about what I wrote in my journal to I need to make some art out of this. And that is what I am doing. And I feel like I am not going necessarily in order, because that's not genuine to how things happen in real life. You know, I am trying to express my feelings and situations and thoughts about things, and I would struggle even more if I tried to follow a specific order of a story. I don't even have a finished story yet. So this specific part of the story, I have been trying to illustrate what it feels like to understand the power that you have just by understanding your mind. And it's because there's so many things in life that we cannot control, but there is so many that we do and we just don't know it. There's so many situations that are so difficult and they look like it's endless, they feel hopeless, but it's after understanding how much of that is perspective and how much of that you can change by just having the right mindset. It almost feels like you have a sort of a power to shift realities or to change what is real. And that is kind of what I wanted to show here. And I tried to use light as a way to show that. So I created this first character, and I like to illustrate how there's some light that comes from within her, which is obviously that power. Like the moment you realize, wait, I have some form of control of what reality is, right? And then it transitions into, okay, but now how do I use it though? Because it's very different knowing that you're capable of doing something and learning how to do it successfully. So that is where the story begins, and that is what I'm working on right now. I loved that here I kind of went a little different than what I usually do, and I went for a lot of little mixed media things. I used these little pearls, I used ribbon, and I think I'm gonna be doing that a lot in my paintings. I have been loving how so many different artists incorporate other elements into their art, and I've been wanting to do it for so long, so I thought, you know what? Let's just do it. There's never gonna be a perfect moment. I'm just gonna start doing it. And I did it, and I'm so glad that I did. And also, I love that I'm starting to learn what for myself it feels like it's enough in a painting, because there is never a point where I'm like, yeah, it's done. You know, it's always that doubt of like, should I keep adding? Should I keep putting more things into it? Is something missing? And I am trying to learn that sometimes it's okay if it looks a little more simple. I have been dealing with that for a while, where I just feel like my paintings are not good enough because they feel like they're too simple. But this time I tried to use that in my advantage. I tried to add a lot of little elements but make them simple so it doesn't look like it's too overwhelming on the painting. So the image itself, I just have the girl from the back, the light, and the sky. And then I try to focus more details into the framing all around and the borders and all of that. So it kind of balances out that the image itself is very simple, but there's a lot of little details that kind of make it feel like there's nothing missing. It makes it feel like there's a bunch of little things to look at. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to do with this painting. And I am so ready to go to the next one. I'm so motivated now. I feel like I wasn't really fully in an art slump, but I was a little bit slow with my art. And after finishing this painting, I am so ready to make a lot more. I am so excited to go back to painting more often and to be here more often, to go back to my studies and my reading and everything, because I have been missing for a while, and it's because of that, because I have just been so slow in everything that I feel like I didn't have anything to share. I feel like I didn't have anything to say, and that made me really sad because I love doing this. I love sharing, I love creating, I love reading. So yeah, I feel like I am back. I feel like I am finally coming back, and I am very excited. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you liked the story or what I've told about the story, because obviously there's a lot more that I haven't said yet. But yeah, I later want to organize little by little, almost like chapters as they come out, even if it's in the wrong orders, but just have it all organized eventually. But this is what I've got for now. And I hope you have a great day or a great night, and I'll see you next time.